Welcome everyone to Innovate 2022. This session is, can you integrate it? Yes, you can. And hello everyone, I'm Jeff Ross. I'm the Service Delivery Manager here at Cyrozen. I've been at Cyrozen for nearly 7 years now as part of the consulting team, working with our customers, mostly in Europe, but all over the world. On their service manager, installation, configuration, customization, all those sorts of things. Before Cyrozen, I worked at a large engineering company in their in-house IT, looking after their service manager and Cyrozen setup. When I'm not doing that, I'm either at home working on my own little projects, coding something, automating something at home, or the other thing takes up a lot of my time is my 2 young kids who keep me pretty busy. And today I want to introduce to you my colleague Patrick.
Hi, my name is Patrick Chambers. I'm a consultant with Cyrozen for 6 years now, based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Before Cyrozen, I worked with an oil and gas company down in Houston, Texas. Most of my hobbies are playing golf and traveling, hanging out with, and seeing my coworkers occasionally. I'm really looking forward to presenting with you, Jeff. So.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. It's really great to be presenting with you today, Patrick. All right, let's get into this. Do have a couple of housekeeping bits to mention here. All the conference sessions today are being recorded. So if you missed something from earlier, if you missed the keynote, if you need to step away from this one, or anything like that, then don't worry. They're all being recorded, and the links to watch it will be made available after the event, so you can catch up on everything. If you want to show a colleague this session or something like that, then you can. You'll have access to everything after the event.
After our session today, there will be some interaction in the Q&A lounge for about 30 minutes. There, stop by, say hi, ask us any questions that you might have over the presentation or just anything in general. We look forward to talking to you.
Yeah, please do come by. We get a bit lonely, so please drop in, say hi. And we also have the Cyrozen Open Floor Lounge. That's open all day long, so throughout the whole conference today, and that's just for anything you want to drop in and ask, say hi to Cyrozen. Yeah, that's open all day long, so you can drop in anytime you like and make use of that. So please make use of both those lounges, and there's lounges after each of the sessions today for the Q&A. So integration. Patrick and I have been planning this session for a while now, and we were thinking about integration probably more than is healthy. It's lucky that we both love it very much. We kind of came to realize that integration falls into one of 2 areas: work items and configuration items. And I guess that's kind of the same way that service manager is split, unless you get really deep into the weeds. Service manager is kind of split into those 2 areas as well. All objects in service manager are either a work item or a configuration item.
Right. So along with work items and configuration items, we can integrate knowledge articles. We've done that in the past. And there are other items that we can integrate as well. But today we will primarily focus on these 2, and I will be looking into work items during my portion of this presentation.
Yeah, and I'll be taking you through some config item integrations. I think for most of us here, for most Cyrozen customers, when we say config item, or when we say CMDB, configuration item management database or configuration management database, I think most of us, when we say that, we're thinking about CAM, Cyrus and Asset Management. And so that's where I'm going to focus today as well with regards to that. But the principles I discussed today can apply to any other type of configuration item as well. So it's not exclusive to CAM, the asset management stuff, but I'm going to focus on that for the purpose of today.
All right, work item integration. First off, what is a work item, right? Work item is a ticket such as an IR and SR that can be worked by an analyst or support group, and it's to resolve an issue or a list of activities to complete a ticket as a whole there, right? And we're going to talk about why we would want to create and update different work items for different reasons. Benefits of integration. Why would we want to integrate work items from a specific system or another system? And why might we want to trigger an alert? In a different scenarios, we at Cyrusson, we've done several. I mean, we've done a lot of integrations with customers, right? Today, we're going to be focusing on email integration specifically. And as you can see, email integration, right? We've done this a lot lately. I have specifically. We've done a SolarWinds connector to update or create and update work items in Service Manager from SolarWinds alerts. And we'll get into that a little bit more in detail on some of the next slides. All right, benefits of integration. Synchronization of multiple systems, right? There are a couple different scenarios here, but HR and IT merging two systems together to work those independently, right? They might have a specific tool they're using, and then IT's using SCSM. Or you might have a larger organization that's just acquired another company that has maybe like a Freshdesk or a Jira, and you want to keep them separated until you can migrate everything into one system later on down the road. You want to keep them working independent of one another, but we can integrate. With some integration, we can keep them updated together there. Monitoring and working SolarWinds alerts in Cyrusson, right? This is what I just talked about. Where I've had a customer recently where they had a request for this, and there are some benefits to updating and creating tickets in Service Manager from alerts, email alerts from an external system. It can be done with a lot of different systems, not just SolarWinds, but that's what we've done recently. And then you have issue creation for IRs and PRs. So similar to you customers that are putting in incidents and they become a problem or a bug here at Cyrusson, and then we have some integration with Azure DevOps on the back end here, where we're creating those tickets over there, and we've got our development team that are working those start to finish, and then you get the email at the end that says, hey, your resolution is here, go implement this. So there's integration everywhere here at Cyrusson. All right. So there are a couple integration scenarios, as you can see here. You've got your ticketing systems, monitoring systems, and DevOps, right? Ticketing systems dealing with work items specifically there to update and create those tickets. You have your monitoring system, such as SolarWinds, that sends you an alert whenever a node goes down. Or something is detected on a external system, and then you have DevOps, such as Azure DevOps, there for working tickets and bugs there. Yeah. So going back to ticketing systems, you're not limited just to one. We have Freshdesk, there's Remedy, ServiceNow, to name a few, Zendesk, Jira. Really, any ticketing system can be integrated there, whether it's an integration using email or API, you have options. Monitoring systems include SolarWinds, CrowdStrike, Splunk, Nagios, just to name a few. And then DevOps, once again, Azure DevOps, you have GitLab and GitHub as well. So these are just a few. We can really integrate just about anything.
Hey, Patrick, I'm noticing on this this slide here, all this different technology. There's not a lot of Microsoft technology here. You've got a real mix of different vendors.
Yeah, that's correct, Jeff. I mean, we're not limited to Microsoft products. We might be a Microsoft partner, but that doesn't mean we're limited to the types of integrations and who we can integrate with. I mean, at Cyerson, we've done all sorts of different integrations with different third parties. So you are not limited to Microsoft there.
All right.
All right, integration via email. So we're going to break this down into two different types here. We have your inbound SCSM integrations and your outbound SCSM integration, right? So for inbound, we're in this specific scenario, we're going to talk about SolarWinds, right? And pulling in an incident via SolarWinds alert, right? So let's say a node goes down. You want to receive an email from SolarWinds, and we're going to verify. We can, with the SMless Exchange connector, we can do a lot of things. We can get very granular with what we're doing within the ticket. So for starters, if we want to create a ticket and you want to make sure it comes from a verified source, a verified email address, we can specify that in there when we're creating the ticket. So we're going to do, we'll have a class extension that's going to be something along the lines of a SolarWinds unique ID, right? And we're going to take a unique ID from SolarWinds, and we're going to look for it in Service Manager. And if it doesn't exist, we're going to create a ticket. And if it does exist, we will update it with something, right? So for instance, if a node goes down, we might send in an email from SolarWinds. We're going to check it out. Maybe 10 minutes later, you get another email that node has gone up. With that same unique ID out of SolarWinds, it can do a handful of things. But in this case, we're going to resolve that ticket for there. Outbound SCSM integration.
Hey, Patrick. Before we move on, my experience of these monitoring tools, SolarWinds, Splunk, all those sort of ones, is it's quite easy to get kind of like duplicate emails for the same issue. Sometimes you can even get like hundreds of alerts for like one node that's gone down or one ultimate problem. So is that going to cause like multiple like incidents if we do like an integration with that, where the service desk team are going to have to then suddenly clear up hundreds of incidents?
Well, you're spot on, Jeff. We do get that all the time, right? We see that with different tools. However, with this tool that we're going to be utilizing today, there are a lot of, we can get very granular with it. We can get very specific with what we're doing, whether it's creating or updating. We can go in there and, like I mentioned earlier, we can verify the source. I mean, it's done a lot. Part of it's done in PowerShell. So I mean, if you can script it, then it can be done. But we can verify the email address. We can make sure that we can look in the header and look for the unique ID from a specific keyword. We can update with a different keyword from the body. It can look through there and parse these different things out, and along with a verified source and then a specific keyword, we can update it so we can eliminate that exact issue that you just mentioned.
Okay, thanks. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah, and then outbound SCSM integration. I think we just talked about that a second ago, but create a bug in DevOps. Or if a bug comes up in Service Manager, we can create it in DevOps with integration. So we have integration going on all the time, but We can do outbound integrations, not with just Azure DevOps, but all sorts of other third parties. But yeah, create tickets in other tickets, update tickets in other tickets, alert off of in other systems based off of specific things that are happening in Service Manager. All right, demo time. Who's ready for a demo?
Yeah, I am.
Now it's time for our SolarWinds Incident Connector demo using SMLit's Exchange Connector. First off, I would like to give a shout out to Adam Dezaki. If you're not aware, he is the developer of the SMLit's Exchange Connector. He spent quite a bit of time lately assisting customers in various scenarios. The SMLit's Exchange Connector is a really neat connector. It has the ability to do all sorts of things. I wish we could go through all of them, but we only have a short amount of time, so I'm only going to be touching on a very small piece, which is the custom events bit in our SolarWinds integration scenario here. So thank you, Adam. We will add a link to the SMLit's Exchange Connector download. It will be available on the Innovate Event Hub. If you go under the Info Desk section and then into the Documents and Links, I will post a link for it there. It will also be available in the Cyrusson community. I will post a link there as well. I believe I've seen some out there before, but I will post another one just so everyone can see it again there. All right, getting into the actual demo now. We're going to go ahead and talk about the settings here for the SMLit's Exchange Connector, and then I'm going to talk to you about the event viewer and the logs specifically for this and how neat they are. And then we're going to get into a couple different scenarios for our demo. We're going to walk through the creation of a ticket. We're going to walk through sending an update from an untrusted source so that you can see that specific criteria isn't met. So what it will end up doing is just adding in the history that user that it was sent from, but none of the actions will be performed. In this scenario, we're going to put some keywords into the body, such as the server has been down for over an hour, and then we're going to set the urgency to a different urgency. By default, the ticket's going to come in a minor urgency, but you can see how this scenario could apply to a bunch of different scenarios. Specifically, like if you get an alert from SolarWinds that contains suspicious activity, maybe we want to escalate that ticket and send it to a different support group. Okay, I mean, you have all sorts of different options. So A, we're going to go through the creation. B, we're going to go through and send an update from an untrusted source. So it shouldn't do anything. It shouldn't perform any actions other than adding that the user that it was sent from to the history there. And then C, we're going to send an update from a trusted source. So that's going to be what fits our criteria. And then lastly, we're going to send an update / the resolution from a trusted source to get that updated as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at the settings here. You can see there are all sorts of different the functionality of the SMLit's Exchange Connector is awesome. There are all sorts of stuff. As a matter of fact, I've completely stopped using the standard Exchange Connector in all of my clients. I've strictly been using this new SMLit's Exchange Connector because of the functionality, the flexibility, that you have and all of just the different options you have. I haven't had a chance to get into all of these things. As you can see, it does some AI stuff, does everything that the stock exchange connector does, plus a lot here. So for this demo, we're gonna be focusing on the processing logic, show you how that's configured specifically for this. We're gonna look at the custom rules that we have set up, and then I want to talk about the logging briefly. Processing logic, I'm going to, I just have a couple ticked here, but you can see there are all sorts of different things that can be used here. I'm not sure if my personal account is in here, which I'm going to be using for the untrusted source in one of our scenarios. And then we're going to be moving deleted items after processing, which is pretty typical. But we don't have to do that with this one. I believe in the stock exchange connector, you do have to do that by default there. Okay, so let's look at the logging real quick. I'm going to have this turned up to everything for this demo. When you are installing the SCSM Exchange connector for the first time, you will want to turn this on to 4. If also, you will want to turn it on when you're configuring other things such as the custom rules or multi-mailboxes. It has lots of verbose data in there and information for you to go through, help you get you on the right path there. So we'll take a peek at that real quick. Let me refresh it. You can see that it's in the event viewer. There's a new log SCSM Exchange connector. You can see that it's running. It's literally logging everything that's going on. I'm successfully connected, so that's good for now. We will monitor that as we run through some of these scenarios here. All right. Next and last bit of configuration here in the settings, we've set up a custom rule. We've given it a name of SolarWinds because you might have, 2, 3, 10 different custom rules, and that's just a simple name there. And the message class that we're monitoring here is going to be the IPM.note, but you see a couple others as well. The part of the message that we're going to be monitoring, in my case, I'm doing the body, but you see subject is there as well. The regex, this is going to be that unique ID from SolarWinds that's sent over. So this knows how to parse in the email. So essentially we're saying, look in the body of the email for a unique ID that matches this formatting here. And then we're going to say, if that exists, we're going to look for it in this property here, which is a custom class extension on the incident class. So it's going to find that ID. It's going to search through all the IRs with all the classes on IRs. And if it doesn't exist, it will create a new one. If it exists, it will update it with whatever custom event or however we have it configured. Now, keep in mind that we are not limited to just work item classes here. I believe Adam's done a custom rule to create invoices when dealing with vendors. How neat is that, right? You're instead of receiving an email and then taking that exact information from an email and then going into the portal or service manager and creating that invoice manually or updating it, you could create a custom rule to update that. Do the same thing with hardware assets, or really the sky is the limit. So really neat there. But in my case, we're looking for a specific ID, which is our SolarWinds ID out of the body of the email, and then we're going to search the SolarWinds ID property of the IR, and if it exists, we're going to update it. If it doesn't, we'll create one. So, all right. That being said, let's go ahead and pull up the mailbox. So this is the mailbox that we will be monitoring for the SolarWinds alerts here. And then here's the the all work items. So with the first one, let's go ahead and let me that up. All right, so here's our first email that we're going to send into it. Okay, send it into the mailbox. Obviously, SolarWinds has different templates, and you can format it however you'd like. I'm just going to use this basic formatting for our presentation here today. So SolarWinds, we're sending it in. Server is down. This is going to be our unique ID for this one. Let's go ahead and send that in. We should see that in the inbox here shortly. All right, great, there it is. And then we have our workflow for the SMless Exchange connector set to run for every 30 seconds for this demo. Obviously, if you're in a production environment, you'd want to raise that to something a little bit more manageable for your environment. As soon as we see that move to the deleted items, which it just went, I'll go ahead and pull up the logs again here. And like I said, I'm showing everything here. So let me refresh this and let's see what happened. We've got some new stuff that's going on in here. I won't go through everything here, but the good thing is there aren't any errors. It's found my user because I've created one before, and then it's created a new work item. All right, so IR 2658. So let me minimize that and then jump back into the portal. Let me give it a quick refresh here, and you can see our new incident is there. So here's my class extension that I was telling you about. We don't have to have it out here on the actual page itself. It could be hidden behind the scenes if you wanted, but for demo purposes, I brought it out here. You can see SolarWinds alert. It's got a minor urgency. It's gone to the networking group. Source was SolarWinds. It's just applying a template similar to the Exchange connector. All right, so that was our first scenario. Our second scenario is going to be, let's say the server doesn't go back up in 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and maybe you guys have a threshold of like an hour, right? So so we're going to go ahead and add in here some more code. Over. Okay, so what we're going to do is, right, so this is the custom events PowerShell script. So you can see that there are all sorts of different functions in here. You can invoke after creation of an SR, invoke after creation of IR. So if you wanted to do something immediately after the creation, you could. If you wanted to do something after an update for SRs, you could. I mean, there are a handful of things in here after resolves, closed. I mean, all sorts of different functions in here that you can play with. For demo purposes, I'm going to stick with the invoke after update IR, right? So I've just added in a new little snippet of PowerShell here, where if the body, right? So now we're saying if the body has down for over 1 hour in it somewhere, we want to set the urgency, which it was in a minor state. We want to, or minor to a major urgency there. Okay. We could also do this for support groups. Like I said, if maybe we wanted, instead of it being down for an hour, you wanted to set the urgency, you wanted to escalate it and send it to a different support group. Or, I mean, really the sky's the limit. Whatever you can think of pretty much can be done here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that right there. So what we're about to do is send an email from an unverified source, right? So right now we're saying that to update this IR, the email needs to be sent from Patrick Chambers at cyrusson.com. That's where I sent it before. I'm going to send one quickly from my personal email account, an iCloud account, and it shouldn't actually update the ticket. In this case, it should just process that email. It should then log it in history, but not actually update the ticket itself. So give that a second. See, it came in. It did actually, like I said, it updates it, but it doesn't update the actual ticket as far as, oops, the urgency, still minor, okay? If we go into the history, show the history, you can see that it just added in the little snippet that it came in a comment that of where it came from, but it didn't perform any actions. Okay, so now I'm going to send an email from my verified source. This is my patrick.chambers@syrison.com account, and it's going to say SolarWinds Alert ID. So we've got our ID in there, that same unique ID, that the server has been down for over an hour, right? And if we go back and look at how we have that configured, down for over 1 hour, okay? So let's pull that back up. Oh, this should be over 1 hour. Server has been down for over 1 hour. Let's send that. Let's pull up mailbox, make sure it comes in. There it is. Let that process. All right, great. Let's go take a look in here, refresh that. It updated the work item, you can see, which is wonderful. You don't have to worry about the warnings. It's complaining about some of the images in my signature line there. Okay, so if I go back into that incident, let's just go ahead and give it a refresh here, and it should change to major. So it went from minor to major. We could do it for all sorts of different things. Like I said, we could change the support group, we could change the impact, but the idea here is that we've emailed it from an untrusted source, and it noted that it received a message from an untrusted source, but it didn't perform any actions, right? We could have wrote up some logs in the event viewer to say, hey, this was from an untrusted source, and logged it there as well. I mean, we could log it anywhere we want, but we've basically ignored it, but not noted it here on the ticket. Then I sent it from that trusted source, and here we go. It changed the urgency just as expected. Okay, so the last scenario that we wanted to run through, and if I, well, actually, let me pull up the PowerShell again. So this is the custom events PowerShell. So on this bit, this time we're looking for the trusted source again, right? patrick.chambers@syrison.com. But we're also looking for reset in the subject this time. So in this scenario, maybe a node goes down, and it opens up a ticket. Maybe after 5 minutes, that node comes back up, and then in a customer environment, they send it out with a reset. And basically that reset told them, okay, that one's back online. No analyst was needed to work that ticket, or they could basically disregard it. We could set status to something different if we want. In this case, we're going to say we'll set it to resolved. We could set it to resolved and add a resolution category, or I mean, we could do all sorts of things if we wanted. But here we go. Got sending it again. You can see we've got SolarWinds Alert. We've got reset in front of the server name there. We've got the SolarWinds, that same unique ID, and then we've got the servers back online. So let's fire that off. And let's just monitor that mailbox so we know what's going on. So that just processed. Come in here and refresh this. You can see it worked. I mean, it looks like it worked again. We'll verify, but updated the work item, which is good. Come into the portal. Let's refresh this thing here. And you can see, boom, it's been resolved. So, like I said, really, really cool. The SMLets Exchange connector has tons of functionality, unlimited options and configurations. I think with this demo, you have an idea of all of the possible things that are out there for you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again, Adam, for assisting me quite a bit over the last couple of months with customers, and your really neat tool here. I appreciate it. And once again, I will post a link for the download in the where was that at? In the Innovate Event Hub under the Info Desk Documents and Links section. So it'll be there, and I will also post it in the Cyerson community as well. All right, thank you. That concludes the demo.
Okay, next up, asset management integration. And we'll be asking ourselves 3 questions. And anyone who I've ever consulted with, or probably from the title of this session, you can work out that I love answering my own questions. So I'll be asking 3 questions and then getting into the answers. First up, why? What are the benefits of integrating with other system? Why invest all that time and money and effort? What's the business value we can gain from integration with regards to asset management? Secondly, what can we integrate with? What other systems can we integrate with, whether they be Microsoft or non-Microsoft technologies? Are there any systems we can't integrate with? And finally, how can we integrate with other systems? What options are available? Can we build something ourselves? What tools can we use to do that? Okay, so first up, why integrate? Well, CMDB or ITAM, IT asset management, the concepts are really all about bringing lots of data together. That's what that concept really is. Bringing different data together, relating it to each other. And I mean, Patrick, in fact, everyone, you have to excuse me for using this phrase, but creating that single pane of glass, whoever's got that on the buzzword bingo, you can go and check it off. Creating that single pane of glass where you can see all your information in one place. And then it's about maintaining sources of truth. Even if you're using asset management as your kind of primary for all your key data, the primary source, it's not going to be the source of truth for everything. You've got your departmental data, your list of departments, list of physical locations. This data must exist in another system somewhere. You cannot be using asset management as the primary for that type of data. And then the chances are that you're using other systems as a source of truth for lots of other data around devices, hardware assets, licenses. Chances are you've got that information sourced in another system, and we want to bring it together. And, I find that success in asset management comes from accuracy, trying to get as near to that 100% accurate data as you can. And if you're having to double entry into 2 different systems, or copy and paste from one to the other manually, or worse, even like rekeying it in, then you're going to get errors. It takes time, it costs money, and it just introduces a serious risk of data inaccuracy. typing in serial numbers by hand, typing in dates, so easy to get things wrong. Is that a 5? Is that an S? Date formats and different international date formats. It can cause so much inaccuracy if you're manually keying data between systems. So integration is a way to bring everything together, single pane of glass, maintain all those different sources of truth, all those pots of data, but do that in a way to avoid the risk of manual re-entry. So what systems can be integrated with? Well, my first point there, anything, as Patrick covered in his slide, really, anything's possible. We can integrate Service Manager with anything. I've got some examples here, and again, these kind of sit into two typical areas that we work with our customers. Device management, where you've got other systems that are the primary source of truth for your device information. I mean, the obvious one, I'm not actually listed it here. Maybe it was too obvious, but maybe I should have listed it. Is Configuration Manager. That's typically the primary source of device information for our laptops, desktops, servers in most of our environments. And most of us using Cyrus and Asset Management have integrated in with Configuration Manager. It's possible out of the box, which is why I didn't think to include it here. But it certainly is an integration that you're going to want to use. But you're going to have devices managed in other systems. With the hybrid way we work today, people have a lot of off network devices, AD domain joined devices. They might be managed through Intune, whether they be laptops or mobile phones. And we can bring all those into our asset management inventory through an Intune integration. CrowdStrike, I think we doubled up here, Patrick. CrowdStrike again, in the hybrid world where we work, and CrowdStrike might be the way that you can communicate with your devices off network and do hardware inventory on them. Mobile Iron is another kind of real highly used device management solution that we've worked with in the past, and finally Cisco, those kind of network enterprise grade networking devices where that tool is scanning the network, it's gathering all the information, serial numbers, firmware versions of all your networking equipment, switches, firewalls, access points. It's all that. It's storing all that in its database. You're maintaining it all there, and then you can just bring those in as hardware asset devices into Service Manager. So that's device management. And then the second area is more those kind of administration data sets. So these are the couple of examples I gave earlier. Departments, organizational departments and organizational physical locations that you're going to want to assign hardware assets to. They're going to come from, some sort of enterprise management system. So SAP, Workday, those kind of systems, where that's where you're going to be your source of truth for those sorts of things. AD sites and services is an interesting one. We've used, I've done a piece of work in the past where not everyone uses it, but there's a piece in asset management where you can pull in to each physical location the IP ranges and have devices automatically assigned to the right location. And AD sites and services is actually a great way where you maintain your subnets and different ranges for each physical location. In AD, it's all tracking it for replication and those sorts of reasons, to find the nearest domain controller, that kind of stuff. But it's actually a great source of truth for subnet information. So yeah, we can integrate with that, pull that in. And then the last two, Azure billing, M365 for license management. Again, just places where you're going to have other bits of information. So you may have you might want to pull invoices in from your Azure billing portal for Azure consumption, VMs. M365 license management can be pulled into your license information around who in the organization's been assigned a Power Platform Pro license, so you can track that and manage those resources and that kind of stuff. So all these different systems that may have data that you want to bring in to Service Manager to form your part of your asset management, it's all possible. And again, just to go back to that first point, these are just some examples here that I've worked with in the past. Anything is possible. The limitation is really your imagination. And my final question, how? How can we integrate with any other system? So SCSM provides a number of tools to help you configure integrations. Part of our asset management application, although I think it's also available standalone, is the asset management import connector. It's a Service Manager connector that allows you to import data to any class. It's not actually limited to the asset management classes. Any Service Manager class based on either a CSV file, a SQL query, or an LDAP query. So you can use a number of those sources on the previous slide there, can present data in those formats. And you can use that to pull in your data into SCSM Asset Management. They can be set on a schedule, so they can run, every night, or they can run on demand as well. So it depends on the nature of the integration you want. The second tool we provide, you're probably familiar with, is our portal APIs. So any of our customers using our Service Manager portal, which I know is going to be most of you, there's a set of APIs behind that. In fact, there's a couple of different sort of subsets of APIs within that, and they allow you to write data to Service Manager. So you can make something with another system that could write into Service Manager using the portal APIs. When you create a new location in Workday, it could trigger something through a webhook or something that could then end up writing into Service Manager through the portal's APIs to create that same object in Service Manager to give you that kind of synchronization. And then the third one, which is pretty new, I'm personally very excited about this one, is the Power Automate connector for SMP, for Service Manager Portal. So that will allow you to, using Power Automate, create objects in Service Manager. Again, so just like the portal APIs, and ultimately it is just the portal API, behind the scenes. It allows you to use the great power and flexibility of Power Automate to be able to control that and set it all up. So it's just a nice, fantastic, easy way to, when something happens, go ahead and create something or update an object in Service Manager. So if those three, seem a bit too easy for you, and you want to challenge yourself, then you can go and just do something completely from scratch yourself. PowerShell is PowerShell / SMlets. The SMlets module for PowerShell gives you unlimited flexibility in what you can do into Service Manager. Build all your logic in there, all your checks for duplicates. So if you need to update or create all on the fly. So yeah, you could build a custom script or a custom app or anything like that using PowerShell that takes data from one system and pushes it into Service Manager. There's some great articles out there. Come ask me for some advice in the lounge afterwards if you want to know more about getting started with that, or just some extra resources. But my final point here, you know, I've made it this far. I've made it nearly the whole way through this presentation here without too much self-promotion, but the time has come. You know, the Cyrus consulting team are also on hand. We are the experts. We've done lots and lots of integrations. All the examples that Patrick and I have been discussing today are stuff we have done for customers over the years. So we've got a lot of experience in the ways to achieve these things, the techniques that work, that don't work, and obviously the technical expertise to actually build these things out. So if you need to integrate systems and you're not really sure where to start or haven't got the in-house skills and haven't got the bandwidth to skill up, then please do reach out to us. We'd love to help you get your integration going. All right, time for my demo now on a Intune asset connector. Okay, so here we are in my environment, and I've got the Microsoft Endpoint Manager Admin Center open, or most of us call it the Intune portal. And if I go to devices, and all devices, then I've got just one device here, a laptop, LPTP001. Now this is not domain joined, it's off network, it's not in Configuration Manager, it's Azure AD joined and lives completely remote. And that's pretty common now in this hybrid world. Maybe 2 years ago, at the start of COVID, I deployed a load of laptops out to my staff so they could work remotely, enrolled them into Intune, and now I want to get some inventory. Now I want to bring all that data into Service Manager, into my CMDB, into Cyrus and Asset Management, and start to kind of reconcile that information. So it's completely off network, but we're going to bring it in to Asset Management. We click into it, we see we get some nice inventory data. We've got the serial number, got the model, and very nicely we've got the primary user being pulled through there as well. And we can integrate between Intune and SCSM to bring this device into SCSM as a hardware asset. Let's take a look in Service Manager. Just going to log into my portal here. And we'll go and look for hardware assets, all hardware assets. Hopefully we've got that same device. There it is, LPTP001. We have a look on that, and we've got that same information that's been brought into this asset record. The name, the serial number, the manufacturer, the model, and so on. And then plus we've got the out of the box Cyrus and Asset Management workflows that can take that information and then work out the catalog item and the type and so on as well. So I've got a few more fields that have been filled in since it was brought in by the workflows. And most importantly, I'm getting that primary user field as well. So I know who's been assigned that laptop. I know who's using it coming through from Intune. So we have our off network Azure AD joined device in as a hardware asset. It's not just a one-way sync. It's not just about pulling data in. We can also then talk back to Intune to take actions on this device. So maybe I want to build something into my lever process to go and force some actions out in Intune, or even more importantly, like a lost or a stolen kind of process. If this device gets reported as lost or stolen, then I could either through a custom task that requires an analyst action, or even through a fully automated process, make a call out to Intune to wipe that device, to keep it, keep my data secure, make sure that I'm not going to get compromised in any way. All right, that's what I wanted to show you today.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. That was a great demo there. So I'm sure everybody has questions for Jeff or myself. If you would like to join us, please join us in the lounge. We'd love to answer your questions now, but we have a 30 minutes set aside in the lounge after this to answer any questions you might have. Thank you for attending today. It's been fantastic. All conference sessions are going to be recorded. We will release these recordings after the event so you can show your colleagues or your coworkers, your mom, dad, whoever you want. Once again, just to reiterate on it, there will be a 30-minute Q&A in the can you integrate it? Yes, you can lounge after this session. So we look forward to seeing you in there, answering any questions you may have.
And here on the side, that's how you find the lounge. Go back to the kind of main page of the event, and you can see down on the side there, you've got lounges, and then inside there, you'll see it.
Yep. Yeah, and once again, the Syracuse Open Floor Lounge is open all day. Drop in there, say hi. You'll see anyone from support to consultants to developers in there. So feel free to join and ask away. Thank you all for your time today. Thanks again, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Great to present with you today. Thanks everyone for attending, and we'll see you in the lounge.